Hello, Brightwood College. My name is Keisha Evans, and on October 1st of last year, my brother Brandon committed suicide. Before Brandon took his life, of course, we had warning signs, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. The warning signs that I personally saw before he made the decision to end his life. My brother Brandon suffered with depression for a very long time. He was depressed, but he had a very close-knit group of friends. He was the person who would always help other people. He gave the best advice to his friends. And a lot of the times, the people who gravitated towards him were people who suffered with depression or people who had problems coping in general. And Brandon was kind of their person to lean on. Of course, that takes a very strong person, but when you're the type of person who takes on other people's problems and you're already struggling with depression, that can be a bit of a heavy situation. He was at the call of everyone who needed him, and eventually that took its toll because when he needed people, they weren't there for him. Some things that I saw early on was that we're a very close-knit family. There's 6 of us, and he refused to be around us in the sweetest way, but he was a loner. He isolated himself. He spent hours alone in his room, and even when we have family functions over at the house, we would have to drag him out. Earlier on, I would say that he kind of dove into a world where he felt comfortable. He played video games a lot, and most of his friends were gamers. And I think that's where he felt most comfortable. He could be free to be whoever he wanted to be as long as he was behind closed doors with those people, which is fine if that's a sometimes thing. But for Brandon, it became an all the time thing. He never wanted to come out of his room. He would apologize often for things that wasn't his fault or that he had no control over. He always felt like he was a burden on people for the smallest things. And it wasn't that anyone around him made him feel that way, because we loved having him around. It was more of a symptom of what he was going through. Before my brother actually took his life, he made several attempts. We did get him help. He was in a facility for a minute, and the most difficult part about things like that is that as a parent, you don't want to see your child in certain situations. And so sometimes you think more about what you feel is best for them than what is actually best for them. It was my opinion that my brother should have stayed in that facility until he was able to control his depression or his illness in a better way. And for the rest of my family, or not all of my family, but for a majority of my family, that was difficult. They didn't want him to be locked up or drugged up or all of the things that you think about when you think about putting your family member into a facility. But at the end of the day, I felt like it would have been the best thing for him. And now that's why I'm an advocate for those who suffer in silence to get help, reach out, get the help that they need. And for family members who see their loved ones suffering, to not be afraid to not have them like you for a little while, or to have them be uncomfortable, or even have them hate you. As long as at the end of the day you get to still have them, be a little bit forceful in getting them help. Before my brother actually took his life, he attempted more than once to do so. The gun that he used to take his life, he had purchased months before, And he had attempted to do this before. He told people he was going to take his life. It was a thought that he couldn't get rid of. And so at that point, I wish that we had been a little more forceful. I can tell you that there's not a day that goes by that I don't regret doing more to make sure that he was okay. Fighting whoever I had to fight to make sure he was okay. Even fighting him if I needed to. I think about that often, and that's not a burden I want any of you to have to bear. So, if you know someone who is fighting depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, anything that causes them constant, unrelenting suffering like that, research, understand them, and speak with someone who can help them. Call the suicide hotline if someone is telling you that they're going to kill themselves. Sit there next to them. Call. Give them the phone. If not, be their voice. But don't let them down. Don't let them down. It's the most difficult decision you'll ever have to make, but it's the easiest at the same time. Don't let the opportunity pass you by, and don't lose another life. I hope what I've said has been helpful to you guys. Have a good day.